let me introduce you to the greatest psychic of the 21st century. His name is Reigen Arataka. He runs the Spirits and Such consultation office. He's been featured on TV. He's exorcised countless spirits, solved impossible cases, and once talked down an entire organization of superpowered terrorists using nothing but words. But there's a problem. He's a complete and total fraud. Reigen has zero psychic abilities. None. His special technique is store-bought salt and questionable massage techniques. His spiritual pressure is just sweat. His entire career is built on bluffing, fast talking, and a middle schooler named Mob, who happens to be the most powerful esper on the planet. By every metric, he should be the villain. A con man, a cautionary tale about exploitation. And yet, he's one of the most beloved characters in anime. Not despite the fraud, but because of it. Because Reigen Arataka isn't just a scammer, he's a paradox. A man who lies about everything except the things that actually matter. A con artist who accidentally became a mentor. A fraud, somehow, is more real than the most genuine people you'll ever meet. This is a video about the greatest liar in anime, and why we all need someone exactly like him. Before he was the greatest psychic of the 21st century, Reigen was just a guy, a salaryman, 28-year-old working a dead-end job, watching his entire life slip away one spreadsheet at a time. So he quit, started his own business, Spirits and Such consultation, a total scam from day one. Here's the thing about Reigen's fraud that it's easy to miss. It's not malicious. He's not trying to hurt anyone. He's just trying to survive. He saw a market, people who believed in spirits, people who are scared, people who need someone to tell them it'll be okay. And he filled it. And for a while it didn't work. He was bad at it, almost gave up, until one day a kid walked into his office. Mob wasn't there for an exorcism. He was there because he needed someone to talk to, someone to help him understand his powers, someone to tell him it was okay to be what he was. And Reigen the con man, the fraud, the guy who'd never had a genuine moment in his life, did something unexpected. He gave Mob real advice, not a scam, not a pitch, just a conversation. He told Mob that he didn't need to rely on his powers, that being a good person mattered more, that he could have a normal life, even with everything he was. Mob didn't know Reigen was a fraud. But here's the thing, even if he had known, I'm not sure it'd even matter. Because in that moment, Reigen wasn't lying. He was being exactly who Mob needed him to be. So here's how it works. Mob handles the spirits. Reigen handles everything else. The clients, the money, the paperwork, the performance. Mob gets paid minimum wage, but still, and gets to use his powers in a controlled way. Reigen gets to keep his business running and pretends he's a psychic. It's exploitation, technically. Reigen is absolutely using Mob for his abilities. There's no getting around that. But here's where it gets complicated. Reigen also gives Mob something no one else can. A place to belong, a purpose, a reason to leave his room and engage with the world. Mob's parents love him, sure, but they don't understand him. They don't know what it's like to have power you can't control. Reigen does, not because he has power, he doesn't, but because he sees people. He understands them. It's his only real gift. There's a reason Mob stays. It's not the money, it's not the exorcisms, it's Reigen. Mob knows Reigen is a fraud, has known from the beginning. He says it himself later, I've always known my master is a good man. Think about that. Mob, the most powerful esper on the planet, works for a con man because he thinks the con man is a good person. Not a powerful person, not even a talented person, a good person. That's not exploitation. That's something else entirely. Okay, so we have to talk about the single greatest moment in Reigen's entire career. Claw, the terrorist organization of psychics. They've kidnapped Mob's brother. They're planning world domination. They have actual legitimate superpowers. Reigen walks into their base alone. No backup, no powers, nothing but his mouth. and he proceeds to talk down an entire room full of dangerous psychics. He's a genius of it. Reigen's power, if you can call it that, comes from a very specific place: the confidence of ignorance. He doesn't know how much danger he's in, so he doesn't act like he's in danger. He doesn't know he can't beat them, so he doesn't act like he can. He just walks in and does his thing. One of the reviewers put it perfectly: if Reigen has any true strength, it's in the confidence he possesses that's at least partially born of ignorance. He never knows how much trouble he's actually getting into, so he's able to act tough because he doesn't know any better. It's the dumbest, bravest, most Reigen thing possible. He bluffs his way through a situation that should have killed him 100 times over. And he does it because he's too stupid to be scared. But here's the deep thing: that confidence, that ability to project certainty when you have none, that's not nothing. That's a skill, a real one. Reigen can't move objects with his mind, but he can move people with his words. And in a world for psychopaths with psychic powers, sometimes words are the only weapons that work. Okay, so it couldn't last forever. Reigen gets exposed, publicly, humiliatingly. A rival psychic, a real one, outs him on the national television, shows proof, makes him a laughingstock. And here's where the show does something brilliant. It doesn't let Reigen off the hook. It makes him sit in it. For the first time in his life, Reigen has to face the fact that he's nothing. That without Mob, without the lies, without the act, he's just a guy who quit his job and never figured out what to do next. He calls a press conference to address it, probably to spin it, to lie his way out like he always does. But something happens. He sees Mob in the crowd, and Reigen breaks. Not dramatically, not for show. He just starts talking, telling the truth about how he met Mob, about how he never had powers, about how he's been a fraud from day one. He apologizes to Mob for using him, for lying, for being exactly what everyone knows he is. There's a post on the internet that sums up Reigen better than anything I've ever read. It says, Reigen Arataka is disgustingly and beautifully human. His flaws are raw and ugly and out in the open. He lies, he cheats, he steals. He takes advantage of the people he loves, using them to gain money and notoriety. He lies to the one boy he trusts him the most. He lies with almost every breath he takes, like it's a part of him, like he's ashamed of the person he truly is. And yet, he loves so much. He dedicates his life to teaching this boy how to be kind. He grounds people in reality with a single speech, and it can change their entire lives. He sees right through people, zeroing in on their most potent characteristics and their deepest lies after knowing them for only 30 minutes. This is the paradox of Reigen. He is both things at once: a liar and a truth teller, a user and a giver, a fraud and the most genuine person in the room. The show doesn't resolve this paradox. Reigen doesn't become a saint. He doesn't come clean to the world. He doesn't stop lying, but he does keep showing up. Reigen's morality isn't clean. It's messy and compromised and full of contradictions, but it's real. And in a world full of people pretending to be perfect, maybe real is enough. So, what do we take from Reigen Arataka? A few things. First, you don't need powers to be powerful. Reigen can't move objects with his mind, but he can move people with words, with presence, with the sheer force of his personality. In a world obsessed with talent and ability, Reigen proves that being seen, being heard, being present, that's a kind of power too. And secondly, the people who see you clearly might love you anyway. Mob knew from day one, saw every lie, every manipulation, every selfish move, and stayed anyway. Not because Reigen was perfect, but because he was trying. Because underneath all the fraud, there was someone who genuinely cared. That's rare. That's worth holding on to. And thirdly, you can be a fraud and still be real. Reigen lies about everything: his abilities, his past, his importance, but he doesn't lie about the things that matter. When Mob needs advice, Reigen gives it honestly. When someone's in danger, Reigen shows up. When it's time to apologize, Reigen does it with tears in his eyes. The fraud is the suit. The real is underneath. And fourth, sometimes the best mentors are the ones who are still figuring it out. Reigen doesn't have his life together. He's 28, single, running a failing business, lying to survive. By any metric, he's not qualified to mentor anyone. But Mob doesn't see or need a qualified mentor. He needs someone who sees him, who listens, who shows up. Reigen does that. And maybe that's all mentoring ever is. Not having answers, just being there while someone figures out on their own. Reigen Arataka is a fraud. He's also one of the best people in anime. He lies about being psychic, but he tells the truth about being human. He exploits Mob's powers, but he also gives Mob a reason to use them. He's selfish and greedy and vain, but when it counts, he's selfless and brave and true. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It's got plenty of those. What it needs is more people like Reigen. People who are messy and complicated and full of contradictions. People who fail and keep trying. People who lie but love harder. People who, when you look past all the fraud, turn out to be exactly who you needed.